What's a car care brand without chemicals? An idea. And to this point, that's what Honest Car Care has been. A lot of talk, a lot of hope, and a lot of hard work, but mainly an idea. But behind me, we have our first 8 chemicals that we're going to test. Christy and I have talked many hours at this point, and we agree that our first chemical is going to be a wheel and tire cleaner. She has some sets of chemicals over in California, and I got a few here, and we're going to be sending bottles back and forth, even through this process, until we find the right formulation. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of talk or a bunch of where we've been. You guys have seen that many times over. What I'm going to tell you very quickly is the marks that we're hoping to hit when we're doing these testing and our overall testing process. Christy's process might differ a little from mine, but overall, we hope to aim for the same benchmarks and come to an agreement onto kind of where we want to go. So the very first thing that we're hoping to do is create some really good chemicals, obviously. Now, in order to test that, something I've always done, and it's pretty similar to her approach, spray the wheel pretty much bone dry with whatever the chemical is. Let it sit there. Let it dwell for 30 to 60 seconds. Once we do that, we're going to spray it down with water and see if there's any type of a touchless effect. If not, that's okay. A lot of these formulations here are designed with agitation. Once we get through that, we'll go back with a second spray, we'll agitate and spray the wheel off and kind of check and see where we're at. Our overall goal is to hit a dilution mark of 5-to-1. The final say on where all this will be at is really going to be on whoever our customer is at and whoever our distribution partner ends up being. If that's big retail, obviously some things might change. If that's more of a prosumer market, then it's going to lend itself to some really high concentrated formulas. And I can tell you, that's really where we're leaning right now. We want to make some kick-butt chemicals that everybody can enjoy, that are highly versatile and cost-effective. The second phase of the testing, once we declare a winner or a set of winners, we're going to be throwing it in a foaming sprayer, and we're going to see where that foam is at. Now, the best foaming sprayer I have probably right now, because my other one died, is going to be the X-Foamer. It's a little bit unique. I'm still getting used to it. It's obviously a brand new product, but that's the one that we're going to try today. She might have something a little slightly different, but I think you'll be able to tell if it's where we want to be, and we'll kind of go from there. If you guys want to stick around for the end, I'm going to sum up kind of where we're at, where these chemicals came from as much as we can, and kind of what that entire intake process is like. Right now, let's go ahead and just get into the cleaning. I'm going to show you guys what we're working with real quick. There's 8 chemicals here. Some of these are RTU formulas. Some of these are highly concentrated. Our goal was to dilute every single one 5-to-1 to start out, and then we'll dilute 10-to-1 for the foam. What you'll see here is 8 bottles. Each one of these bottles has 2 ounces of concentrate or product. Our goal is 5-to-1, so if it doesn't perform, we'll go back to the drawing board. Hopefully we can declare a winner and just move on with that company.
You can watch, you can doubt, you can talk it out, but you can't move me now. You can't move me now. You see the clip, not the hours. You see the post, not the weight. You hear the noise, miss the purpose. Still waiting on me to break. Been called a loss before, been left behind. Started with nothing, learned how to survive. You think the fire's still coming, like it hasn't already been. Some of us get built by pressure, some of us don't bend. You can watch, you can doubt, you can talk it out, but you can't move me now. You can't move me now. This isn't about me. This mission's bigger now. This is building honesty from the ground up. This is for the people that just need saved. Turning pain into something that actually stays. While you're counting my tone, I'm counting the cards. Turning time in a so it's not all lost. 20 hours deep on a netted. House quiet, lights low. Kids asking where I've been, I tell them I'm building hope. You can watch, you can doubt, you can talk it out, but you can't move me now. You can't move me now. I had to become this person.
Alrighty, so that is the end of our first phase of testing. Which one of these chemicals do you guys feel like performed the best to this point? Just to recap, that was every single chemical diluted 5-to-1. That's the target that Christy and I are hoping to hit on the initial kind of phase here. And yes, we are doing our own independent testing here, but Christy and I spent about 2.5 hours on a phone call, on a video call, on Google Chat or whatever, going over, I would say, most of these right here. Now, the thing about this is logistically, we live completely separate places. So sometimes she's gonna get samples first. Sometimes I'm gonna get samples first. Sometimes she might already have a couple samples in her garage. Sometimes I might already have a couple samples in her garage. For example, I just got, what was it, Chemical 5 today in the mail, but she's had it since, before the holiday. So that's just kind of the nature of how this is gonna go. We're gonna try to keep everything consistent and transparent and just kind of explain to you guys all the different things that we're going through. Over the weekend, when Christy and I did our testing, we did agree that one chemical kind of stood out in regards to wanting to bring it to that next phase and see how it foamed. Now today, I have another couple chemicals in which I thought did a really good job, and that's why I kept one of the tires open and switched things up on that last one. So we're gonna go ahead and do that foaming process. I'm gonna throw that piece of tape down the middle on the two standouts I think that could give us the best chance at having magnificent foam on those wheels and tires. So the first one that me and her had already talked about was this Chemical 3 right here. And the last one that I had tried, then the second one was Chemical 6 right here. I really like this Chemical 8, but that one's kind of a wild card, something I threw in because the tires and the count and everything made sense. I'm gonna go ahead and send that one to her so she can do her own independent testing, and then we'll have to work out if we even think that company will work with us. Let's jump into the foam sprayer test, and then I'll probably add a couple of minutes to the end just to kind of answer a few burning questions that I've seen and just try to provide a little bit more context at the whole entire process that we're kind of going through right now.
You can question the past, but not the why. This didn't happen overnight. This didn't come from luck. This is what it looks like when you don't give up. Still standing, still building honesty.
Alrighty, so what you just saw was Chemical 3 versus Chemical 6 in the foam sprayer here, diluted 10-to-1. Pretty impressed with them both. I still think that the one that Christy and I agreed with, Chemical 3, pulled a little bit more of that dirt and stuff off the tire. I think we both are hoping that we can add a little bit more bite to it when it comes to the ability it has to clean the wheel. Now, and I'm also very interested to see if Chemical 8 here, I think it's gonna foam like crazy also, but I've only mentioned that company to Christy. So before I reach out, before I do any further testing, I just wanna make sure that she's on board with all that. Alrighty, so as we kind of wrap up here, I'm just gonna try to rapid fire some questions I think you guys might have in regards to this Honest Car Care as a whole, what we've been doing, what the future looks like, and we'll just kind of go from there. So I would imagine probably one of the #1 questions you guys have is, why is there the mystery behind what brands these are, what chemicals are in them, what companies, and whatnot? The way I would answer that is, we are pushing these different chemicals outside the realm of the back of their labels. A lot of the companies that we've worked with so far are very small companies, and the last thing we want to do is bring a chemical in or a company in, test it outside of its label, and then poo-poo on it and say, oh my gosh, it doesn't work, right? At least 3 or 4 of these formulas we're completely ready to use. So are we just sitting here wasting our time? No, we're trying to create a standard, and depending on how relationships go with that company, we'll come back and maybe negotiate something that's a little bit more potent or a little bit more refined to how we want to do things here at Honest Car Care. So the next thing would be, and I think I already answered this, why Christy and I might have different chemicals. I think it just has to do with logistics. Some places are on the East Coast, some are on the West Coast, some are in the middle. She's going to get things quicker than me. I'm going to get things quicker than her. We all have existing stuff. We've kind of put our heads together and agreed on some different brands and some different testing procedures. And then we're going to continue kind of swapping chemicals back and forth, or talking to those companies and getting those samples sent out as quickly as we can. Now, that's the thing. We are against a ticking timetable. We want to get these chemicals out to you. We want to get things happening. And sometimes we are at the mercy of these different companies or the holidays or just whatever in the world that we all have going on in life. And that's kind of the other end of the spectrum here. Everybody that's involved with this project here at Honest Car Care has a life outside of detailing, whether that's running their own detailing companies or working full-time as a teacher or working full-time as an analyst like myself, or just running other businesses or doing other things. So it is a collaborative effort with Christy and I at the forefront, doing our best to try to run things in our vision. And Jamie and Eddie are doing an excellent job of kind of letting us do that and pushing when they need to, pulling back when they need to, and just kind of being a guide. At the end of the day, they know what it's like to start from nothing, and we are doing that again. And let's just roll that into the why. Why are we doing Honest Car Care? What's the goal? The goal has changed a little bit, and I think that's led to some confusion from you guys and potentially on our part. I think when we first discussed everything with Honest Car Care at different times, the goal was we would represent Thor blending exclusively. We would help build out that pro program, and we would be kind of like the example for what that professional line would look like. Now, since then, some things have changed in regards to kind of what that direction looks like. And the focus right now has been on, let's try to partner with other companies and get them involved on this collaborative effort, which is to raise money for charity. So we're going to work with these companies. Some of them already have a private label sector. Some of them don't. Each one of those things is going to create different issues, right? Different problem sets. And we are going to continue working closely with whatever those brands that we pick out to try to get to the bottom of those and create some really good products. Now, once everything goes through that testing phase, we kind of have a protocol. One of them is, I think, called the Ivan protocol, where we're going to send some stuff to Mr. LaCroix himself with his wealth of knowledge, and he'll probably test some stuff once we feel like it's ready. We're also then going to reach out to Thor Blending and have them go through stuff with a fine-tooth comb. You know, obviously make sure things are safe, make sure nobody's getting sued. There's a lot of legal paperwork that's going to come on the back end of any decision that we feel like we're able to get to. And also feel like we're going to get to, that's vague language, right? At the end of the day, Christy and I are here to represent and run this brand how we see fit, but we will not usually make the final decisions on anything. We've been very transparent to the fact that we represent this brand and we are the face and we're making a lot of the initial decisions, but the final say is always going to go to the guys in charge. Okay, so what about charity? What about our first event? We've discussed some different things, and that is still kind of in waiting. We did discuss going to my hometown first, which was in Terre Haute, Indiana, and leading some different charity efforts there. We've also discussed going to a couple other places. We will continue ironing those details out, and once we have like a really fine answer, we will get back to you. We are in contact with multiple nonprofits and organizations that are doing good all over this place, and we are going to continue building that out. We will say this, some of the company, at least one of the companies here that we were testing out, we've already kind of came to an agreement that, you know, we're going to kind of move on. So let's talk about that. Obviously, a great deal of time spent on said company, and kind of go into like, not necessarily the why for that one, but the why things can go up or down on this spectrum. At the end of the day, every single company is going to be ran a little bit differently. And what we're also trying to do, in addition to make some kick butt products, right, is we need to find somebody that aligns with our vision and what we're trying to do at Honest Car Care. So it's not just a matter of, oh my gosh, let's make the best products in the world that eat the paint off the side of the car or whatever, you know, the goal is. We are actually looking for partners that are wanting to go out into the community, maybe their own home communities, and build out some different training programs and do goodwill. So that is a piece of this. The other piece of it is just structurally, they have to kind of jive with what House of Rags and Honest Car Care want to do, right? Some people are at different phases. One of the things that Conway pointed out in the Discord, which if you're not a member of that, we'll go ahead and do a shameless plug. Join the House Rags Discord if you guys want to get some more of the inside scoop of what's going on. But a lot of these smaller companies that we've kind of working with, maybe they're not equipped for the type of volume that can come from a Thor backed product. So those are different things we have to consider, right? We don't want to align ourselves with the wrong company and then there be shipping delays or poor bottles or sprayers or any of these things along the way. So it really starts to narrow down who our partner can be. And we are still trying to make an effort to build something special that's unique to only Honest Car Care. One of the things that I think Conway had brought up was, well, why don't you just go through Thor blending? And we will. And we have talked to Eddie and Jamie recently about one of the ideas we had that just doesn't exist on the market yet. And when we come to a setting like that, that's when we would go to Thor blending and say, hey, we think this is a good idea. Can we just go straight to the chemist? And this would maybe be like a flagship style product. And we just kind of wait for their approval, or we keep moving smartly in the right direction. Which leads us to the next thing. It's a multifaceted approach, right? Like we're working overtly right now on a wheel and tire cleaner, but we have to have the next 2 or 3 products kind of lined up and ready to go in our possession because of logistics, because of time, because SEMA seems like a long way away, but it's really what, 11 months? And we hope that we have a pretty solid line by then. That's kind of the ticker right now. And if you look at it, most brands are going to have maybe 5 to 10 products at least. So it's almost like we got to start coming up with a product a month. And that makes me a little nervous. And I know that makes Christy a little nervous because at the end of the day, we just want to make some good stuff that you guys are all proud of. And that's kind of where we're at on everything about me talking too much or trying to say anything else. Now, one last thing I want to end with was, what was the criteria specifically that we were looking for a wheel and tire cleaner? I think what we both agreed to was we wanted something that was very versatile, that turned the tires brown on contact. We wanted something that had a nice foam to it and that could be shot through a foam sprayer too. That was kind of the things I think that we were all very aligned on. We would love as touchless as possible, but we are considering those charity events and keeping things as safe as possible. So that's where we go back on safety, right? We don't want something that's overly caustic. We're looking for those new formulations that are biodegradable, that are okay for the environment. Chemicals are not always going to be okay for the environment, but we're trying to put our best foot effort to not have that purple stuff that makes you cough as soon as you spray it, right? So that's going to create different challenges. It's ultimately going to probably make prices different and things like that. So we are working kind of full tilt on all of that. One thing I don't think I did mention also is every single one of these formulas were non-acid. We have some acids that we're going to try probably at another time, but that was one of the things that Christy and I wouldn't even say we disagreed on, but it was just a lack of, I would say, communication. I had sent her a couple acids, but they were hydrofluoric. And then that's when I learned that she doesn't want to use hydrofluoric. And I was like, that's perfectly fine. And we just kind of moved on smartly. So we are working right now on locating non-hydrofluoric based acid products that are still really kick butt. So once we kind of line that out, maybe we'll roll something like that out here pretty soon. I think we've discussed a 3 pH system, but it's still kind of up in the air as far as what we're gonna land on. So I don't want to speak for her or put anything out into the ether until we can get a little bit more of a final unified stance on exactly what is next. I know that right now we are working on a wheel and tire cleaner and we are hoping that it is our first product. We hope that it's versatile. We hope that it foams in a foam sprayer. We hope that it's a great product. It makes every single one of you guys happy, and we'll just kind of go from there. I hope you guys like this video. Let us know what we can do to improve. Let me know what I can do to improve. If you guys have any questions about me personally or just anything else that we're dealing with here in this brand, just drop a comment below. Feel free to message me at any point in time. Feel free to reach out to Christy, obviously. Drop us both in a group chat if you're really concerned about something or you just have any questions. And we'll try to make ourselves as available as possible. Then obviously, if you're a brand and you feel like you would want to work with us and do something in the future, feel free. Like, we're not here to shoot anybody down. Obviously, we'd have to do an evaluation internally and make sure that the fit seems like it would be great. But that's what we're here to do, is create partnerships and collaborate and just make detailing a little bit more honest and hopefully a little bit more better than we found it. I love you guys. I hope you liked the video, and I'll talk to you soon.
Keep it
Peace.
honest or keep it quiet. Don't start a fire, then deny it. If it's real, let it be seen. If it's not, don't intervene.